Good evening, and you're watching the Waterbreak, and we're here live at Austin Stack Park here in Tralee. And this evening, it's all about the Kerry Petroleum Club Championship draws. Right, you're very welcome back to us here in the pavilion in Austin Stack Park, where we have an action-packed show for you this evening. We will be looking back at the Hurling Championship. We will be looking at who won that €1,000 in the draw. Very, very important. We've got some very, very big breaking news, particularly if you're a Kerry Hurling fan. But first, we will take a snippet of what is happening this weekend when all the clubs will go out in the Credit Union County League finals, promotions and playoffs. They say there's no passion in the league. That, of course, was 2019 and Kieran Donaghy and his famous penalty goal to win 4-3 as they defeated Rathmore to win the Credit Union County League Division 1 title in 2019. Of course, last year, 2020, no County League, one round of games before it was postponed. But the County League is back next weekend, and we're going to go run through all the finals, the playoffs and the promotions, and there's plenty going ahead. Now, the Division 1 final, of course, this time no Stacks and no Rathmore. It's Dingle versus Tralee, and they're playing on Sunday at 2 p.m. in Owenascall. Dingle, of course, edged Dr. Crokes in their group, a very tight group with 7 points getting through and scoring difference. Stacks and Spa were in the mix as well with 6 points each. Tralee is a little bit easier on their side of the group. They got through with 9 points, defeating Legion, of course, with 8, and Kinmare and Gaeltacht were in the mix with 5 and 4. So it's a very entertaining fight to look forward to. The relegation playoff, 2019, Rathmore were in the final, and now they find themselves in the relegation playoff. The losers go down. It's themselves and Mitchells are in that. They take place on Saturday at 7 p.m. in Castleisland, and already relegated from Division 1 are Kilcommon and Beaufort, and they will take their berths in Division 2. Now, in the Division 2 decider, it is St. Mary's and Ballymakelligate, and they're also in action on Saturday at 7 p.m. in Killorglin. And the promotion playoff is going to be a very tight one as well between Castleisland Desmonds and Guineaguilla, two very farm sides, and they're going to play in Fitzgerald Stadium, which is quite a wonderful achievement for both of them to get in there, and that's on Sunday. The relegation playoff, one of these teams to go down, Ballydunhur or Listry, one of them will go down, and the relegated already are Drummond Pierces and the Dr. Crokes B team, so they'll be lining up in Division 3. Now turning to Division 3, and the Division 3 final is really going to be the battle of the winners, because Lone Rangers will take on the Stowe Limits, and both teams are totally unbeaten, 5 wins from 5 in both of their sections. So the winners are going to be crowned champions. The finalists will go up as well. And the promotion playoff is between two farm teams as well, Churchill and Milltown Castlemaine, with the winners grabbing that final berth in Division 2. Now going down, there is Ardfert and Keele must play off first before they play Sennons. And the losers of that will be relegated along with Duaw, and they will be signing up in Division 4. Now looking at Division 4, and it is Fieries and Renard who made the final. Two very informed sides as well. Fieries going totally unbeaten in their group, winning all 5 games, and Renard just dropping 1 point to their neighbours Skellig Rangers. finishing their group on 9. So the winners of that will be crowned Division 4 champions. The finalists will automatically go up, and joining them will be Castle Gregory or Skellig Rangers, two sides who also produce great form to get in, and their game, of course, is on Sunday in Milltown at 7 p.m. Now, the relegation playoff, Waterford and Lisbon must play each other, and the losers of that, or the winners of that, will play Knocknagoshel, and the losers of that will be automatically relegated, and they will join Finuig in Division 5, heading down to Division 5. Now, Division 5 itself, moving up out of it, will be Austin Stacks B and Cordle, but who will win the league? They'll go head to head in Fireys on Saturday evening at 7 p.m, and that's Austin Stacks and Cordle. The promotion playoff, of course, a team to grab the third place will be Ballyduff or Cremon, and there's no details on that fixture as of yet. And the relegation playoff, the team that goes back to Division 6, well, it's the battle of the Bs between Lone Rangers B and Kieran O'Reilly's B, and the losers of that will go down to Division 6. So there you have it, Division 1 to Division 5. All the information that you will need. Plenty of games on the weekend. Why not pop out and support your local team? It's incredibly important, of course, particularly for club, and it's a good indicator too before the championship starts, and we will return to that. Now, later on the show as well, we will also have all the club championship draws involving all these teams, and we will be having a look to see where they are as well.
And that, of course, was a roundup of all the county league games ahead this weekend. Now, some of those have changed, so I'd advise you to just pop onto kerryj.ie or maybe ask locally. Now, some breaking news before we go into the draw this evening. Our Kerry Hurling manager, Fintan O'Connor, stepped down earlier this afternoon. He handed in his information to the executive that he was stepping down after the role of maybe 5 years, actually, in charge. Now, in a statement, Fintan said he had a brilliant 5 years involved with Kerry Hurling, but now's the time to move on. It's been a wonderful journey with so many highlights along the way. We contested 2 National League finals and 2 Junior Final Cups, while I was fortunate to be involved with the 3 Kerry under-20B teams that won the All-Ireland. So that's Fintan, and we like to wish Fintan the best of luck. Fantastic man, fantastic 5 years with him. Very coachable, a gentleman, of course, and we might get a bit of reaction maybe off the County Board Chairman, Tim Murphy, there in a while on that. So we'll come back to you in 10 seconds, and we'll be ready to go with the Junior Kerry Petroleum club draw, and we'll be back to you in 10 seconds. Now, joining us is Tim Murphy, County Board Chairman, ahead of our draw tonight. Tim, of course, we're indoors and the mass COVID compliant, of course. Tim, I just found out this is your 5th year, so obviously you'll be getting a bit better at this as you go along, will you?
Well, I hope so anyway, one would hope so. Yeah, 5 years is a long time. 5 years previous to that as development officer, so 10 years all told, yes.
Yeah. And of course, tonight's a very special night. It's about the clubs. I know the county kind of teams are very important, obviously, in what we do as well. But this is where it gets real for the club player. The draw tonight. We're joined, of course, by Kerry Petroleum's Anthony Clifford as well, and he'll be helping us with the draw. But how important is it for clubs?
I think, Donald, of all the counties, the Kerry Club Championship, I think we can safely say without fear of contradiction is probably the foremost of all the counties in Ireland. I think if you go back through the years, it's been very competitive at all levels, and the opportunity perhaps to advance is an added bonus as well. Fortunately, last year because of COVID, that wasn't the case, but this year, or sorry, for the end of the year and 2022, that will be the case. So it's the single biggest, most important competition for every club in Kerry, and like you say, I'd like to acknowledge Anthony Clifford, who's representing Kerry Petroleum here this evening, and they're been fantastic sponsors. They came on board a couple of years ago and are very committed to the Kerry County Board. They're very committed to the club championship, and Anthony is just an example of a person invested in his club you know, and I suppose true to the identity of the GAA as well. So we're very thankful to Kerry Petroleum for their sponsorship.
Absolutely, we'll be talking more as the night goes on. Now, obviously, a draw, of course, has to be watched, and it's quite scientific enough that things can go right and go wrong. And the man that we're going to call on there now to explain everything is Peter Twist, Secretary of the Kerry County Board. He'll just step in there, maybe where you are there too. And Peter will lead us through the very scientific. Peter, an awful lot of teams and boards and structure, but it'll all run smoothly, will it?
We hope so, anyway, Donald. But yeah, we have the junior Premier, intermediate, and senior. So quite every club, I suppose, has an interest in tonight's draw, which makes it even more special.
Absolutely fantastic. The draw itself, obviously, is made more complicated in the sense that the 2020 championships haven't been completed, but we have a structure in place for all that as well.
Yeah, we have to take account of that. Unfortunately, we just nearly got there, but we didn't. But it's not too bad. We can figure it out. And obviously, those games then will be played prior to the start of the 2021 championships.
Yeah, and we'll start obviously with the junior one. Now, the junior one, there was a draw made earlier there as well. 4 teams went into the playoff rules to
yes.
close positions.
So to make we need 16 teams in the round to make it manageable. So the CCC already made the preliminary round draws, and that's Ballylongford versus Myvan and Valencia versus Slieve. And the winners of those 2 games, they go into the junior round proper, then, and the junior championship proper.
They're nearly like preliminary rounds for the North Kerry and South Kerry championship as well, aren't they?
Well, we leave that to North Kerry and South Kerry, but I'm sure they'll be pretty, and it's great to see Valencia contesting there. It's brilliant, and because they've had their difficulties, so best to look to those teams as well.
Absolutely, keeping flying the flag. Right, so will we get into it? There's 3 other parts to the draw. Obviously, we're going to draw as well. We'll do it later on, but obviously, you might just explain the numbers as well for the positions of the teams.
Yes.
Play.
So basically, we 16 teams, as I say. So we 4 groups of 4. Now 4 of those teams are seeded. That's based on performances from last year. So the first step in our draw, Chairman Tim will be drawing the 4 seeded teams. So they'll be assigned to a group each, and then Anthony will fill the groups with the remaining 12 teams, and we'll just place them in order. In other words, we'll do second rows all through, and then the third rows, and then the fourth rows. So that'll be step 2, and step 3 then will be to make a draw for round 1, and we'll do that through numbers. So it'll be, for instance, 1 versus 3 or 2 versus 4 or whatever, and that'll be based on the order that we're drawing in. So that'll complete the junior championship, and we'll take a break at that stage.
Very good, Peter. Yeah, absolutely. Now, it does sound complicated, but obviously it won't. And once the end starts, they have people really getting excited. Now, the first draw that we're making is obviously for the junior championship, and I'm going to hand it over now. We put the teams up on the board there. We have Tarbert, we have Vale, we have Dual, we have Biscole, we have Renard, we have Scotty Glynn, Knocknagoshel, Cordell, Kilgarvan come on, Steve to assist, and obviously we have those 2 teams coming through the preliminary, and then obviously we will have the loser from the 2020 final, which will either be on a Scott or Castle Gregory, and we will also have the playoff as well, coming down the relegation playoff. One of them will stay in Premier Junior, and one will drop down. That'll be Fires or Ballyduff. So they're the 16 teams, and as I said, we'll have plenty as the night goes on. So now what I might actually do is we'll call Tim maybe to draw the 4 seeded teams first.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, so the 4 seeded teams. So basically what we're going to do is that each one of these 4 they've been seeded, they're going to head group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4, and then after that the next 12 teams out just go automatically fill along the way. So Tim wants to draw.
4 seeded team.
And it's the first seeded team, and this is going into group 1.
Is Vale.
So Vale are seeded, and they're going into group 1. And 2.
Second seeded team.
The second seeded team.
Okay, so the 2020 junior final loser. So on a scale, or Castle Gregory.
Okay, so on the scale of Castle Gregory, they might make the Premier Junior, but one of them will be the seeded team. So hopefully give them another step up. That final course to come.
Okay, third. Again, the playoff losers, Ballyduff and Fireys.
Okay, Ballyduff and Fireys. I think Ballyduff and Fireys are going very well as well. We've got the actually survive. And the last team was Tralee.
Tarbert.
Yes, Tarbert, North Kerry side, very top. Tarbert in group 4. And then we see that group now. So over now to Anthony. He's here all night waiting to get going, which is Kerry Petroleum signed behind him. So the first team out, Anthony, will draw 12 with you, Anthony.
Okay, done. First team out is Sneem Derrynane or Valencia.
So there we go. The South Kerry Minor Footballers will go back in there. And God, then they have a Tyrone track up to Vale. They get it, or Vale have a Tyrone track down to them. If you won the neutral games, you never know.
Second team out is Cremon.
Cremon, yeah, another seaside playing, going very well at the moment. And they're down to Group 2. They could end up with Castleberry around Scott, all the seaside places.
Our third, number 2 team is Cordon.
And Cordon are going very well in Division 5 at the moment. And they're going to go in with either Fieries or Ballyduff, the team that obviously gets relegated from above. Now they might be very strong, but we'll see.
Number 2 team in Group 4 is Dual.
And North Kerry again, Dual, so Tarbert and Dual. Again, another North Kerry derby. Not much travelling, but I think they'll be pretty not the man for tickets. All the local games are well fought.
So our next team out is Kilgarvan.
So Kilgarvan, they're going to go in with Vale, Sneem Derrynane or Valencia from Kilgarvan, and they make up the first team in Group 1. They're going along nicely.
Our next team out is Two Sis.
Two Sis also down that direction, and they're heading in with Cremon and Monstall or Castleberry. Very nicely now. Two Sis, well done.
Our next team out is SD.
And we're going to SD. Okay. I'd say the boys in Group 4 were waiting for SD, but they're going to go to Cordon. Might wait for them as well, maybe, from Fieries.
The next team out is Scarty Glen.
Scarty Glen, okay. Scarty Glen, of course, they are footballers playing Cairns, and they'll be travelling up to not too far up the road, being travel to Dual. I know the final team out for Group 1
is Ballylongford or My Van.
So Ballylongford or My Van, okay. So the 2 preliminary team winners will both end up in the same group.
Next team out is Renard.
Renard, that's down South Kerry, doing very well at the moment. Renard, second match for a car. And they're about to switch Renard come on this podcast. Very good.
Next team out is Lisbol.
And Lisbol. So the same as Steve Cordell, Fieries or Ballyduff in Group 3. And the final team to come out.
The last team out is Knocknagashel.
Knocknagashel, the one with a very big name and the one that Tim was not a lot of favours, I suppose, Tim, are
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So Tim looks out for his own, and it's a very North Kerry looking group, of course. You have Group 4, we have Tarbert, Dual, Scarty Glen, and Knocknagashel. In Group 3, we go backwards. We have the relegation, which is, of course, Fieries or Ballyduff. We have Cordon, SD, Lisbol. Then we have Onascal or Castleberry, Cremon, 216 and Renard in Group 2. And in Group 1, we have Vale, the preliminary round winners of Derrynane or Valencia. We have Kilgarvan, and we have the preliminary round winners of Ballylongford or My Van. So what we'll do now is we'll let the boys, oh yes, very good, okay, I get fired already. The second part of the draw, very important part of the draw, I guess it's that. We need to know who's playing who in which group, okay, so the 4 numbers will go back in, and we'll say Tim is going to draw numbers 1 to 4 again, so which number comes out first? And this, of course, is to get the first round games proper played.
So first number out down is number 3.
So number 3, so the third team is going to have a home game. So the third team is Kilgarvan, so this is SD starting playing. They're all going to be at home.
Team number 1.
And team number 1, okay, we'll start with that in a second. So team number 1. And the other side of the draw then obviously is 2 4, which we are there.
So 4, number 54.
And we have 4. Right. So that means the draw for the junior. Now what we'll do is we get a bit of reaction and we come back and we clarify the 1, 2, 3, 4 as well, just before we move on to the next one. So we will just take a 10-second break and we'll play across to Mark first to get the left on those draws.
Terms for filling now. Filling the 4 seeded teams.
Obviously the 4 groups junior. It's a very interesting grade, Mark. I mean, the standard of the teams, it quite varies. There's strong teams and weak teams. It's a very competitive division to get out of all the same.
Yeah, it's one of the most competitive, I think, along with the intermediate grade. And when you look at some of the clubs, some of them have actually performed at a higher level. Some of them will be playing in higher divisions, and then more of them actually play down in Division 5. For example, Group 3 is very, very interesting because you've got Ballyduff and Carry. Now, Carry is Group 4, but Ballyduff are in 5. Cordal were in 5. Steel were in the same group as them, and the 4 and 4. So there's some very even teams in that group, and there's some very interesting games. You would imagine the North Kerry angle there, Tarbert, Duas, Strathclyde, and Knocknagoshel in group 4. The league didn't go too well for Knocknagoshel this year, but I suppose with COVID and with it being just a 5-game league, I think that a lot of teams were using it as a kind of a prep for the championship, and we could see guys back didn't play in the league, and obviously higher up the county players will be back. But I think Scotland and Knocknagoshel, that's basically a local derby, and Tarbert will do it's close enough to typical North Kerry game. We thought there'd be nothing easy there. The travel in Group 1 is the one that's interesting. Beeve, obviously, Seaside Resort, Sneamer, Valentia. You couldn't get further probably unless you travel to Kilgarvan, and Ballylongford is pretty well north as well. So Ballylongford and Beeve would be interesting in the North Kerry side. You'd imagine that Beeve would probably be the strongest team there. Ballylongford struggle for numbers. They have a couple of good players like Kieran O'Connor, etc. Kilgarvan, if they get their hurlers playing, and if the likes of John McFoley, Donald O'Sullivan, Donald Down, all these guys are fit, they will give a good account of themselves. They are really a committed bunch, and while their numbers are small, they really are excellent. I don't know whether Finnissy will be back this year or not. And then I suppose where I went to school myself, Cremon, they're playing two cyst. Renard looked to be the strong team in this group. They've been playing well in the league, and they've got some great players. Robert Wharton is one that springs to mind. And of course, Onascall and Castle Gregory. That's going to be a big game, and whoever loses that is going to be down. Now, remember, Onascall are Division 2, so if they were to lose that final against Castle Gregory, which is possible, you would Division 2A team playing against Division 5 teams. So you'd imagine, I suppose, that Onascall and Renard with the 2, and then you have, of course, Cremon, Donegal Walsh, Sean Sullivan is still playing. Good side, good competitive side. So overall, very competitive games, nice groups, geographically spread.
Fair pleasure, Morton. I'm going to ask you for the parish priest in these places as well. I'd say you'd even know that. And the junior championship is a very exciting championship. Obviously, the conclusion from last year has to be played out. Onascall and Castle Gregory, one of them will be going up, one of them will be staying in the thing. So we will move across now because one of those winners will actually be in this draw as well. And just to clarify, Tim, the 1, 2, 3, 4 with Peter here as well, just on that.
So basically, the draws for the 1, 2, 3, 4. So any team drawn, we'll say in row 2 or the second slot plays whatever. So if it's 2v4, it's the second team and plays the fourth team in the first round. And when we'll talk, we can figure out the home and away venues when we get a chance to relax a bit more.
Making Civil War before it ever starts. Right, now on to the second draw this evening. It is the Junior Premier Championship. Now the teams are moving up, of course. In this we will have the relegated either St Mary's or Waterbreak. We will have the losers of Ballydunno or Gleniguilla. That's from last year's Junior Premier final, which hasn't been played yet. We have Fussa, of course. We have Clifford. We have Bruston. Tim Murphy will be looking at that. St Sins, we have another man in the room looking at that very closely. We have Ballymac, we have Listowel Emmets, Finnew, Glen North Kerry, Destroy, Skellig Rangers, St Michael's Fidewar, St Pat's Venerable, Churchill, Keel, and of course then we have either Onascall or Castle Gregory, who will be either in this one or the one below it, and Fires in Ballyduff to the same level relegation playoff to play as well. So they're the 16 teams. It's the same kind of magic again. It's 4 groups of 4, and the 4 seeded teams again. And I'll call on Tim Murphy to draw the 4 seeded teams.
For the first seeded team, the out of Brosnan.
So first out for Brosnan, the chairman last year.
So
On top of the group, that's good. I'll bring it back as development officer or something.
okay, so the second team are either Ballydunno or Gleniguilla.
This is more unique will okay. One of these of course will be going further up and one will be staying there. That's fine of course we'll stay before the championship starts.
Third seeded team will be either St. Mary's or Waterville.
St. Mary's or Waterville. There's not much I can say about St. Mary's really, but St. Mary's heading to Division 1 and Waterville and Buffalo flying to Division 5, so obviously Waterville will win that.
Okay. And the last team then, just for the record, obviously is Fossa.
Fossa top of group 4, yeah, super. Okay, so group 1 is Brosna, group 2 is Ballydun who are getting good, group 3 is St. Mary's or Waterville, and group 4 is Fossa. Now Anthony, you get to do the fun bit for your 12, and obviously Anthony had a bit more interest in this one than the previous one.
You have to keep a handy group for the strike.
Yeah.
So the first team out is the Junior Championship winner, Onascal or Castle Gregory.
Okay. Keep a strong bet team on night. They will end up somewhere eventually. The winners, of course, will be going into that group across now.
The next one out is Finuig.
Finuig, not Kenny first. He will be moving in with either Ballydun or Kenny Gullet. He just doesn't get out of course.
Next team out is Skellig Rangers.
Skellig Rangers, South Kerry heading down to 14 games where they'd love to end up in the group of St. Mary's or Waterville. Keep the juices flowing.
The next team out is Fireys or Ballyduff.
The Fireys or Ballyduff, of course. They're going in there with Fossa. Now the third team out.
The St. Pat's Glenerville.
St. Pat's Glenerville. Okay, so Glenerville plus the Castle Gregory in that group.
Ballymacalligat.
Ballymacalligat going on, of course. And look at that Kenny Gullet in that group as well.
Churchill.
Rangers Churchill. St. Mary's and Waterville.
And Listowel Emmets.
So Emmets will go in Fossa, Fireys and Ballyduff. We hope nicely after going in and well done. We're going well.
Next one out is Kiel.
So Kiel are the 4th team in Group 1.
Next one out is my own club, Listroy. Next one out is St. Senans. And the last one out is St. Michael's Filemore.
So they're the teams in that group. So we're going to draw the numbers now. We go again. Of course, it's a crucial part of the draw as well.
Number 4.
Team 4.
Is Team 3.
Yeah, team 3.
Team 2.
Team 2. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay. Team 1 is.
Yeah, perfect. Super. So what we do there now is we take out that group, we get the course of screen as well. And we bounce back to Mark Murphy and we get his thoughts on this group. 4 groups, very, very competitive, of course. Once again, a couple of teams that will go up again and teams that will fall down as well. So we'll talk to Mort about that. No, Mort, the draws are beginning to really rock through now. We're nearly halfway there.
And a lot of, should I say, a lot of teams are a lot of form in this. Absolutely. This is more you know what I would consider. I started group 4. You got Foster, you're going to obviously have the Clipper Pros going back to them. So that will make a huge difference to them. Fireys, who had a very good league, they'll be very competitive. And Ballyduff, who are in promotion playoff, I think. I saw them in 5A, and they were playing St. Michael's Filemore, and they beat St. Michael's Filemore. But since then, St. Michael's Filemore have, I'm not as close to run hard, and I hate saying this, but St. Michael's Filemore did not impress me that day. O'Connor was playing, but now they have Keane O'Connor in, so I think they will be a better championship team that they showed in the league. And of course, the Listowel Emmets, I was lucky enough to see them last Sunday. They beat Churchill in that crucial winner-take-all game, game promotion, and they are a superb team. Niall Collins got injured, so he might miss out. I'm not too sure he'll be ready for championship. he was stretched off. But the likes of Jack McKelligan at wing back was very impressive. Cormac Mulwell, who played full forward, Sam Tarrant is there. They have a very good young side, and their manager is excellent as well. John Moriarty, I think is Sean Moriarty, excellent manager, and I think they'll be a threat to them all. So in Group 3, St Mary's of Waterville, I would, without sort of demeaning Waterville in any way, their divisions below St Mary's, and you'd have to fancy St Mary's. They're actually going well, despite the presence of Tom Keelan. Now, Skellig Rangers, Skellig have a chance of promotion as well, I think, and they're going relatively well. Again, numbers would be the problem there, but they're very committed in the championship. Churchill, while they're disappointed, last week William Kirby will be disappointed with them. They have some excellent players, and Darrow Sullivan, the 2020 minor, came on there and impressed me, and a couple of very, very good players, and of course they have Ivan Parker and they're Killian Fitzgerald, so not to be underestimated at all. And then of course you have St. Sinnans. Now St. Sinnans, when they get their players back, and they'll be hurling with Prata, and they should come on well. They're more a championship team than a league. I don't think they gave a lot of they weren't maybe that keen on the league. They probably wanted to play better. So that's a tough group. In Group 2, well, you're looking there at Ballymac. Ballymac are a team that are very, very strong. Problem is for them that you're looking also at Listry. Mark O'Shea has a good job done with Listry. They're a good side, and they'll be tough. That's a tough group. Finoog, they've hit sort of rocky, choppy waters, but they're still a championship side. And then you have also in Group 1, Brosna. Look, what can I say about Brosna with the chairman here? They're absolutely top class. They're a tough championship side. On Scholar Castle Gregory, that's a big one there. The winner, obviously, of that. On Scholar Castle Gregory in there, they'll make it interesting. Pats didn't have a good league as they would like, and Keel, I think, just won their last game. But again, under Alfie Giles, they'll improve. So overall, interesting. And right now, the likes of the Stowe Limits, Churchill, Ballymac, and possibly Brosna float my vote.
Okay, and of course it is a group that has 4 All-Ireland winners: St Mary's 2011, Brosna 2015, Skellig Rangers and St Michael's final under one night.
Yeah, you see, and they have a history of doing well in the championship, and they know what they want. They want to get to the Munster Championship and probably go all the way to Croke Park. That's the beauty about this, and the intermediate, of course. There is a Croke Park element to it. So all those teams, and St Michael's, as you said, St Michael's find more tradition in this competition is very, very big. So look, it's going to be competitive. It all depends. But I think the beauty of this year is the 2 out of each group means there are quarterfinals. In previous years, it was cutthroat because there was only one going up. But the 2 going up, we give every team a chance. I think the games will be competitive, and the final game, there'll be no dead rubbers. Everybody will be trying.
Thank you very much, Mark. We'll catch up with you later because we have an intermediate draw to do now, and of course it's the same form to this stage. And we'll flick around to our gang here. Team who's getting very good now at pulling out the top seed teams. And perfect. So now we have the intermediate draw. Of course, Kilcommon, of course, senior last year, back relegated, of course, All-Ireland champions in 2019. Then we will, it's a small bit complicated now. The writing's getting smaller, but anyway, what we're going to have is we're going to have the intermediate final losers. Another team will be the losers of Desmond or Spa, and then we have the losers of McGill and Beaufort. Now, basically, they're the semi-finals. So, if that looks a bit complicated, the reason is that all the other games that we've seen so far, we've got to the final stages, but this stage is obviously at semi-finals and finals. So that's why there's just a little bit more question marks. But there's no question marks about Curragh. They're going to be there. Limbeck and Carr are there. John Mitchell's are there. Lone Rangers are there. Bilton Castlemaine. Ardfert are there. Rathmore are there. And Gaeltacht are there. Glenfesk are there. Drummond are there. And then we get down to the ones that may or may not be there, and that will either be the winners of Dunher or Guinea-Willow, who will get promoted up to this grade, or St Mary's or Waterville. We've seen them, of course, in the last one. So the winners will stay in this, and the losers will head into the low grade. So, Tim, if we start with our 1 to 4 again, of course, for our seeded teams.
Okay. For the first seeded team, it's Kilcommon.
First seeded team, Kilcommon, very close to home. Of course, we wish Sean Leary all the very best of luck, of course. Great to see him up there at the end of the most recent Kerry game, of course, Munster final.
And the second seeded team will be either Castle Island, Desmond's, or Spa.
Okay, Castle Island, Desmond, and Spa. I know this is a beaten semi-finalists. Okay, so they will be in there. So Desmond and Spa are good form by both sides at the moment in the county leagues.
And again, this is there's 4 possibilities. So Desmond, Spa, and Gale or Beaufort.
Okay, these are the finals. So
The
whoever
finals.
is the beaten finalist will go in there. So obviously all 4 teams can be involved in that. And then the last one up, of course.
And finally, then is either Gale or Beaufort.
Beaufort, and of course that's a semi-final, and it's the team that defeated that will end up there. So we're going to have an awful lot of order as so. We're still essentially.
Still there, don't we?
He's holding up the sign well, Kerry Petroleum, of course.
Okay, John Mitchell's.
John Mitchell's recently relegated out of Division 1. Getting a chance to bounce back here, of course.
Glenfesk.
Glen Flesk, of course. Great eating for Glen Flesk recently with all the mountain miners on the county team. Fantastic for small club.
Glenbeigh Glencar.
And Glenbeigh Glencar.
And Ungaelted.
And unrated. Of course, West Kerry again had to say that. So, coming John Mitchell's already met this year. They're going to forward. Right, so who's the 13 that goes into the
So next one is the 2020 Junior Premier winner, Ballydon or Guinea-Gwilla. The next one is the playoff winners, St Mary's or Waterville.
And Mary's must be about 14 draws tonight, I'd say. Okay, we have to get one of them anyway.
Our next one is Curra.
Curra. Going with them, big car. They can have a choice.
And then Lone Rangers.
And Lone Rangers. Lone Rangers was playing very well this year. 5 wins from 5, I think, in the county league. Okay,
We got Drummond Piercing.
Drummond Piercing, back down to South Kerry. And we're going to Group 1.
Ardfert.
Ardfert, of course. Previous winners in 2015 and 2007, of course.
Rathmore.
And Rathmore. People's favourites last year. People's favourites this year.
Last team out is Milton Castle Main.
Milton Castle Main. And Lone Rangers. And Gated. And the of Beaufort. Hopefully, the second continent will work quite out guessing these ones. So, Group 1, just to clarify again, we have Kilcummin, John Mitchell's, and we have the Premier winners of Ballydon or Guinea-Gwilla with Drummond of course, Drummond Pierces. Then we have the intermediate semi-final losers, which will be either Desmond or Spa in that particular semi-final with Glen Flesk. We have the winners of the relegation playoff, which will have the same year as the Waterville, plus Ardfert. In Group 3 then, we can have any one of 4, so they're going to be the runners-up, so that could be Desmond, Spa, and Gale or Beaufort, along with Glenbeigh Glencar, Curra and Rathmore. And then in Group 4, it's going to be the semi-final losers of Gale or Beaufort, Ungaelted, Lone Rangers, and Milton Castle Main. Now, before we go to Mark, we have the numbers to do, of course. Last time it was 4, 3, 2, 1. We'll try a different one over there.
See anyway, though.
Let's see.
First team is number 3.
Number 3.
Is number 2.
Number 2.
Number 4.
Number 4, yeah.
There's number 1.
That's 3 versus 2 and 4 versus 1. The groups are there. That's the intermediate draw. We will be back with you guys in a couple of minutes for the senior draw, which is the quite exciting one as well. And we go to Mort and we'll get Mort's draw on the treasure draw and intermediate. So. Right, Mort. There is nothing that we can say about doing competitive in this and not needing it. If the kids can draw across all 4 groups.
Yeah, I think the one that catches the eye though really is Group 4. I would name that Group of Death. It was in Kerry games. The loser of LaBelle and Beaufort. Beaufort were in Division 1 this year. They were relegated. They were also they also won an All-Ireland club. The Gael won an All-Ireland club. So either of them to be in that along with Gael. who were in a senior who were beaten by a last year, if you remember, and Master Shea and we slipped to bring it to extra time. So it was very little between those sides. Nine Rangers, who dropped down from senior, they're now in intermediate, and they're also, they're only intermediate, and they are unbeaten, I think, in their league. They're up to Division 2 again. So they're a team that are improving and tough, and it's on Tasmania. Tasmania played in the senior club, and they have been up in the top divisions. They won country championship on their own. So that really is a tough group. Moving on to 3, the beaten finalists will that be one of 4 teams. So we leave that with all 4, anyone the 4 would be good. Glenbeck and Carr, an absolute very, very, very strong outfit. Don O'Sullivan, Gavin O'Grady, Patrick Kenny still playing. They have an All-Ireland under their belts as well. And Currow, who may come in under the radar, that might suit them. And Rathmore, many people's favourites. People fancied doing it last year, they didn't. They failed to make the knockout stages, so therefore they'll be hell-bent on doing better this year. 2 is tough as well. You have Desmond's or Spa flying in Division 1 of the County League, playing Desmond's, who had a very good league themselves. Glenflesh, they were in a final a couple of years back. There's some very good young players, Bill Roaches, etc. Chris O'Donoghue. Fine side, St. Mary's are walking since I've already said that St. Mary's is going to win that. I'm going to stick with them. They're going to be tough, and they have, of course, an All-Ireland club as well. And at Petroleum, a couple of clubs, All-Ireland clubs, but they are in a transition phase. So I don't fancy them to come out of it. I looked at that first, but this is the first time. Now, Kilcommon, who dropped down to a grade, and they've been relegated as well. They have loads of talent, bags of talent, and if they get it together for the club championship, it will be tough. John Mitchell's, well, they have aspirations of going senior. This is their opportunity. Didn't do that well in the county league, mind you, but then again, they have lots of issues with players injured, etc. So, they have tradition. And then you have the Ballydonoghue, Niamh Grilla. Now, Grilla ended up there playing Drummond, and the likes of Mitchells and Kilcommon. That's going to be a tough one. And you're looking at Drummond, who have been, they're in the South Kerry final, I think on September the 5th. They've been playing very well. They reached an All-Ireland semi-final in Port Leash, that influenced game. So, look, every team there, well, there's at least 12 of those 16 teams that I would rate as having an outstanding chance. Who's going to win it? I would have to say that Rathmore will give it a fair go. I also think that Spa will be occupied unless they, if they win it, they'll obviously go to the senior championship. McGrail, we have to rate them with Dion O'Connor and Jack Barry. McGrail can't be ruled out. Quebec and can't look. I could name it some great. I can name it.
And of course, it is quite difficult because you have 4 teams that one of them
Yeah.
is senior, and they mightn't be there as well. Yeah, more to fair play to you. We'll obviously have to tip our first, of course. 2 times All-Ireland winners, 2007, 2015.
Yeah, but they're going through the likes of John Egan and these guys have actually retired this year. But, you never know with them.
I never know them. Sam in the 15 there, captain was best, and of course the captain was best as well in 2007. So
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we'll go back again for the draw. We're finally moving up now to the senior level. At this stage, we only have 8 teams in it. Well, actually, we have 7, and we're waiting for the other one to come up, of course, from the intermediates. Just to run through the teams, of course, Austin Stacks, last year's champions. Kimere Shamrocks came so close last year, of course, heading into injury time, they were actually winning it. And who would forget that Kieran Dundee snatched the ball into Shawnee Quilter at the back of the net, and Stacks, of course, moved on extra time. Dr. Crokes, they're looking at to come out of the group. Kieran Rattley's going very well, of course, they're in the County League final with Clanny Legion, are also in the mix. Dingle, of course, in the Division 1 League final as well. Temple, not many people getting much hope of surviving in the senior grade last year. They survived fairly comfortably in the end. And of course, we will have our new winners, which can be one of 4 teams. And of course, it's great to see that. Of course, that has to be played first. So there's a semi-final and a final before we get going on that. So let's get cracking. No seeded team this time, so you're all on your own, and Tim, you're to manage.
Perfect, we'll do our best. First team out is Austin Stacks.
Austin Stacks. So Austin Stacks are going to go into Group 1.
Then we've got Temple No.
simple no and providing because this will be in group 2. Of course, there's no seating here for the senior teams. It's free for all, so we can have everybody.
Next team out is Killarney Legion.
Any Legion. Stacks.
The next one out is Kinmare Shamrocks.
And Kinmare Shamrocks. So Stacks and Shamrocks could meet each other again somewhere later on.
Next one out is Dingle.
Dingle. And Killarney Legion seem to know each other very well over the last number of years.
The next one out is Dr. Crokes.
Dr. Crokes. Kinmare. Simple no. Those are really like last year.
Cairns O'Reilly's.
We're going to group 1. And one team that weren't there.
And it's the 2020 intermediate winner.
Yeah, absolutely. And that can be any one of 4 teams, Desmond, Spawn, McGinn, or Beaufort. Group 1, of course, Foster Stacks, County Legion, Dingle, and Kerry Minor. Group 2, Simple Kinmare Shamrocks, Dr. Crokes, and the intermediate winners. An awful lot of inter-county players going to be on show, particularly in that division. Anthony, we want to thank you very much for your time this evening. Yes, it was really good. It's only a joy. Yeah, we'll get the numbers out. Responses over here, Peter Twist.
So, number 1.
Number 1, very good. This number is probably more important here than using.
There's number 2.
Number 2.
And number 4.
Number 4.
Okay. Number 3.
Fantastic. So again, the groups there are Stacks, County Legion, Dingle, Kerry Minor, Group 2, Temple North, Kinmare Shamrocks, Dr. Crokes, intermediate winners, and the team should be 1 versus 2, 4 versus 3. And just before we go, Anthony, it's a partnership that has really become synonymous with the club game, Kerry Petroleum. It's something that must please you as a sponsorship as well.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. And we're delighted as a Kerry-based company to be involved with Kerry County Board. Very successful partnership. We're delighted to go on board there. I was approached by Tom Keane there a couple of years back, and as I say, once the opportunity arose, we were delighted to be there. And I suppose, look, we deal in every part of the county, and it's club football, that's where it's at. The county is lovely, and we all support Kerry, but the grassroots, we all have about 25 or 30 players that want to be playing football, and this gives every player in the county a chance.
Absolutely, and of course, there's a big enough workforce for you as well. That's just spread across. I see Dennis Galvin on the back there, a proud Kilcommon man. His wife, of course, a Rathmore supporter, and that's what it is really about, isn't it? It's about that rivalry at work, outside, in clubs, in communities, and really being associated with that is worth its weight in gold at times, isn't it?
Oh, it is fantastic. Yeah, it's great sport.
Yeah, great sport. Well, we'll test out the great sport when we check the results for this try maybe later on. Before we go, Tim Murphy, final wrap up from you. 2 questions, of course, to see if Fintan O'Connor ended his 5 years. He really, anyway, that we've spoken to, really, he's done a great job. He was always very approachable, a fantastic guy to deal with. And 5 years, it's a long stint, isn't it?
Absolutely, Donald. When I came in first in December 2016, I think, there was a vacuum, quite honestly, in Kerry Hurling. We were without a manager as well, and we had very little time to get someone in place. Fintan took up the mantle, and I'm happy to say that he's advanced, certainly in our view, and I think most people in Kerry and outside of it would be of the view that he's advanced Kerry no end in hurling. 2 league finals and 2 Joe McDonagh finals. I think progression is what was about. That was his brief at the start, to provide a kind of a stable platform for hurling and try to build it from there, and he certainly has achieved that. And again, as we said in the statement, Donald, just to reiterate that we're very thankful to Fintan, all his management team, for all the time and effort they've put in, and wish him all the very best in the future.
Absolutely great words, and here's there was some great days as well. I suppose talk about winding down the clock as well. We won't wind down the clock on you yet, but I mean it was 5 years, a great 5 years for yourself as well, Tim.
Oh yeah, I think, Donald, it's hard to believe that it's 4 months from the end, but absolutely very, very busy time, but very enjoyable at the same time. And I think looking back over that 5 years, with Corden's now finished, with all the interventions I suppose we've made, you know, in supports for our teams. I'd be very happy that you know, we're in a good place now, with good structures, financial structures to support all our management teams and all our players. So yeah, it was 5 very busy years, but 5 very enjoyable years. Absolutely.
And there's a good format to come yet, hopefully.
I hope so.
Somewhere around the corner. Of course, there's probably a man in the room, maybe copying on your notes as well, the vice chairman, Eamon Whelan. He could be sitting there next year, maybe putting the hand in, drawing out 1 to 4. Peter Twist tells me I'm doing it correctly, and maybe
Absolutely.
that might happen. You never know.
Absolutely.
So listen, guys, that's the draw. Thank you very much. As you said, here we are from the pavilion. We're going to take a break now, and after the break, we're going to catch up on all the hurling news. We're going to have a look at our Kerry Minors. They were in action last Friday evening, and of course, we will look at some of the Kerry Tyrone highlights as a preview, just to get ourselves good and ready for Sunday week. Have you got a ticket yet? Have you been knocked down? Everybody's door looking for it. Give us a shout there on Twitter, and we'll get. We won't get you a ticket, but we'd like to hear the story all the same. So that's from the draw. We'll wrap it up. Thank you very much, Tim. Thank you very much, Anthony, as well. Peter Twist, fair play to you. Everything top tapes, everything this evening. And what we'll do is we'll jump over to Mort, of course, as we close down, and we'll get Mort's views on the senior championship. Right, of course, we didn't forget Mort as well. Mort, this is the easiest one. Even I remember the 2 groups, so there's no need for a big sheet this time. And teams we all know very well. That group 1, Austin Sacks, Tralee Legion, Kerry and Dingle. An awful lot of talent in that group, isn't there?
Absolutely. The only difference in the groups from last year, of course, is that Clontarallies are in with Kilmare, Dr. Crokes and Timplano, and we had Kilcummin who were in with Stacks Legion and Dingle. And if you look at one, Austin Sacks, Killarney Legion, they finished, Clontarallies and Killarney Legion, I think they finished level on top, but on points differential. Clontarallies got through to the league final. And if you're looking at Kilmare Shamrocks, they were beaten last year by Stacks in the league final. So it's intriguing. Austin Stacks, Killarney, of course, Dingle are in the league final, and they would be playing Clontarallies, and they'll have to meet again in the club championship. And of course, with the two going to a semi-final. So you'd be fancying there that, you know, it's very hard to pick, obviously, between Stacks, Legion, Rallies and Dingle. But the game's probably very competitive, probably top class, and you want to be at every one, but we actually can. So I suppose if you just could arrange that we over 2 weekends on Friday, Saturday and Sunday, we get to see them. But the second group is the intriguing one. Because if you remember last year, when Kilmare went to Timplano, and Sean Shea, Timplano were leading all the way, and Sean Shea, I think the high ball came in, and he went into the square, and he put him in, and Kilmare stole a victory. They would probably admit that themselves. It was really competitive, and that's going to be an intriguing clash in the game. Now, Crokes, they had difficulty beating Kilmare, they had difficulty beating Timplano, and they had difficulty in the league this year. So, and then, who comes up? Spa, obviously, I think probably might have to come up, but if either Spa, Nabil, Desmond, or both will come up, they're going to make that interesting. So really, it's an intriguing draw. It's top-heavy as regards competitiveness and strength of teams. And I suppose the big thing about it, Donal, is that it's vital for teams because your participation in next year's senior championship depends. It's the club championship that decides, not the county championship. So therefore, none of those teams wants to be down in a relegation feud later on to see who drops down to intermediate grade. So they'll be all trying to win their first game and see how it goes from there. Definitely qualified for the semi-finals. Intriguing. At this stage, I have no clue. I could not tell you who's going to emerge as the club champion. Whoever they are, they're going to be world champions, and they're going to represent the most of the fairness. So I thank you very much.
Kerry Petroleum, supplying heating oil, agricultural, marine and road diesel to domestic, commercial and agricultural customers throughout County Kerry. With a 6-day delivery service from Monday to Saturday, emergency out of oil same-day delivery service, we offer a full range of oils, lubricants, tanks and accessories. Payment plans are available. For the keenest prices and prompt delivery, call us on 066 712 1155. Kerry
We're here in Killarney today to launch Win a House. You can win a house through the Kerry GAA with a simple raffle. We want to sell tickets valued at €100, and I suppose the key thing here is we're all after going through a very, very long year, a tough year through COVID, and we need to fundraise, and teams and local clubs and counties are fundraising in their own general way. And here in Kerry, we are in beautiful Killarney looking out over the lakes. And we're raffling a house down in the middle of Killarney, one of the nicest areas in the whole country, not even in the whole country, but all of Europe. The great thing about Kerry is that not only have we beautiful scenery, we've had great footballers, and I've had great days in the Kerry jersey. And we're all here today to try to help and try to support our young fellas, not only the Kerry senior football teams, not only the inter-county teams, but the young lads that are coming up playing with their clubs at the moment. We want to put in proper facilities for them and ensure that their future is looked after. To do this, we have to become a little bit more imaginative, and we have a house for a draw. Kerry people are all over the world. We're in London, New York, all over Asia, Australia, everywhere. Anybody can take part, and we'll be looking for everybody to contribute in some small way. It's only €100. It's going to go a long way to helping Kerry to stay up with the pace of the modern GAA world, and I hope you all do get involved.
So good afternoon everybody, and thanks for joining us here in Austin Stacks Park, Tralee, here today for our second bonus draw. And our second bonus draw today is lovely prize, €1,000 cash for some lucky winner. And this is all part of our Win a House in Killarney initiative. Huge fundraising effort by the Kerry County Board, and we want to thank everybody who has already put their hat in the ring. €100, and you could win a house in Killarney. So, as I say, today's draw is 1,000 cash prize. We have the great John Keane here with us, who will draw the ticket. John, former Kerry and Kansas star footballer. And of course, yonder we have Chris Murray from Casey Stevenson. And Chris's job is to make sure everything is done right and proper. And thanks, Chris, for looking after everything this morning. So, without further ado, John, if you would like to spin the wheel, and with a good lucky winner of €1,000.
Kevin and Katrina Walsh, Ballyknock Upper. Kevin and Katrina Walsh.
Okay, thanks very much, John, and well done to Kevin and Katrina Walsh. €1,000 on the way to you. Again, don't forget now, our house draw is €100 for a brand new house in Killarney. And remember, the earlier you're in, the more chances you'll have with these draws. The next draw will be for 2 tickets for the Kerry Tyrone match next Sunday week. And the best of luck to Kerry. And should we be successful against the Northerners, there will be a very special prize the following 2 weeks. And we'll leave that and hope for the best with that. So don't forget, of course, to support us and follow us on social media and share our pages on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Again, thanks for everybody so far who has bought the ticket for €100. We're getting a great response. Encourage your friends to take their chances, and Killarney, Housing Killarney, one of the most beautiful places in Ireland, so it's there for €100. The big draw, of course, will be Easter 2022, and there'll be a number of draws leading into the big occasion. So thank you again very much, and God bless you. Goodbye.
Man the match performance by Kerry captain Daniel Collins helped his side Kilmiley to victory over Ballyheigue in the opening round of the Garvey Senior Hurling Championship on Friday night. The champions slightly edged the scoring in the opening moments before Daniel Collins converted this 10-minute penalty to leave his side ahead 1-4 to 2 points. Ballyheigue added 3 unanswered scores, however, just before the water break, and they cut the deficit to 2 points. 3 Nathan Guerin frees after Daniel Collins' free had the sides level after just 20-minute mark, and Michael Lean put his side ahead on the 23rd minute. Kilmiley battled late in the half to earn a 1-8 to 11-point half-time lead. Thomas Casey red card saw the Ballyheigue men down to 14 8 minutes after the restart, and Kilmiley pushed on, the Lerrig men delivering a second half hat-trick of goals, including back-to-back Morris O'Connor goals to put them 4-22 to 16 ahead. Ballyheigue did grab a late consolation, but it was far too late.
Morris, tough game. You battled hard for it, you know, it was level, you know, you were only a point ahead of it going into the half-time break, and then eventually, you know, you saw it home in the second half. What were your thoughts in the game?
Yeah, as we said during the week, that Ballyheigue were coming into this game with nothing to lose. They have great young players coming through there. You can see the likes of Brendan and Boxer there, and they're doing a lot of work out there. And you can see that there the first half, Ballyheigue were up for the game, and you know, they gave it 100% like you'd expected.
Obviously, one of the main talking points was the straight red card for one of the Ballyheigue lads. That kind of turned it in your favour midway through that second half. What were your thoughts on the sending off? Was it a rash challenge?
I think it was a bit, Jordan was going up for the ball, like he kind of came in under him, and I said the ref was kind of left with no choice. It looked kind of the challenge probably looked a bit worse than it actually was. I don't think there was any real malice in it, but I think it was a red card,
Obviously, defending champions, it's nice to get your campaign off to a win. Obviously, this year is different, you know, with the group stages. Will it be nice to have gotten the cobweb shaken off, especially in a championship setting?
Yeah, especially when it's a group, it's always nice to get a win in the first game, and kind of drive on from there.
Obviously, now when you say driving on, you'll be looking forward to the Lixna game next. What are your thoughts going into it? How are they looking? And
so we have a bye next weekend now. So we have next weekend we have a good week to prepare. We had a good week's training next week, and as they say Lixna, as everyone kind of knows, they're our bogey team over the last couple of years. So we'll be hoping to do well in that game.
Causeway had a 16-point win over St Brendan's in their Garvey Senior Hurling Championship Round 1 encounter, but the Ardfort men made life very difficult for the 2019 champions in the opening half. Keith Carmody opened the account for the winners with his fine effort, just one of 4 points by him on the evening. St Brendan's were to rely on the free-taking ability of Keane Hussey, who kept them in touch for most of the first half. Causeway had to work hard for their scores as Ardfert defended well, but these two efforts by Gerard Lean, who lost his boot while scoring, was followed by another great score by wing-back Anthony Feely after St Brendan's overturned the ball in midfield. Just some of the quality that Causeway were able to deliver as Stephen Goggins' men led 9 points to 7 at the break. However, the second half was to belong to only one team as Causeway assumed total control, scoring 3-11 with a brace of goals from Gavin Dooley and another from half-time replacement Sean Leahy, as last year's finalists eased to an easy win on the night. On a historic day for Dr. Crokes, it was David Carroll who put his name into the history books as the Clarny side's first ever scorer in a senior hurling county championship game, firing over this point in the third minute to level matters a point apiece. However, it was O'Doherty who were forced to line up without both O'Leary brothers and Jack Sheehan that bossed the early exchanges, and this fine James O'Connor point from inside his own half gave them the lead, 3 points to 1, and one they never relinquished for the whole game. Dr. Crokes' Mark Heffernan, who scored 11 points on the day, kept his side in contention with this 26-minute free to reduce the gap to a single point. With further Abbeydorney points by Keith O'Connor, Brian O'Leary and David Egan had them 10 points to 6 ahead at the break. Abbeydorney, who had 7 on the bounce, were 17 points to 10 ahead by the 50th minute before a spirited Crokes comeback was mounted, with this David Carroll effort getting his side back to just 3 points by the 58th minute, Carroll just firing over Nigel Roach's crossbar. Keith O'Connor, with his 7 points of the day, kept Abbeydorney clear, putting them 18 points to 15 ahead in the first minute of 4 additional minutes. Despite this fine effort by Crokes keeper Conor Bohan and another by Mark Heffernan, it was Abbeydorney that clung on to a vital 18 points to 17 scoreline at the final whistle. 2 points on the board, a win is a win, 18-17, but it's championship, and I suppose the win was the most important thing today.
The win is most important, there's no doubt about that, but it was a bit too close for comfort there towards the end. In fairness, I mean, you have to credit Crokes the way they fought back. And, you know, I would say they were very lucky there, maybe 1 or 2 shots. We're definitely lucky to get out of jail there today, and that won't do in our next game against Cratton. There's no doubt about that.
I suppose it was always going to be potential banana skin, I suppose, with the whole crowd coming up and the lot, and I suppose an awful lot of media attention. Would that have put an extra bit of pressure on Abbeydorney, particularly, I suppose, after the Division 1 final against Causeway, where a win was really crucial?
Well, when the Causeway, you know, but that's a learning curve, you know. The Causeway game just kind of opened fellas' eyes, you know. You don't win these trophies, you don't win these games unless you're up for the battle, like, you know. And I suppose, you know, we were focused during the week. I suppose the thing that's hitting us, like, we're horrendously hit, like, with injuries, and, you know, initially you're coming from a tight panel. We'd potentially 5 or 6 guys there who'd been out starting 15 who were out injured, and 2 of those were out long term, the 2 O'Learys, and they're huge losses to us, like, you know, that they're fellas in their mid-20s. And to be fair to our boys out there, like, you know, I'd say well done to them, because we really are a fairly young cohort of players, like, you know, and we battled to the end, and I suppose it's all a learning, it's all in building, and if the championships were handed out in a lucky bag, we'd all be smiling, and you wouldn't have to put in the effort. But, you know, in Kerry here, any year that a team or club wins a county championship, it's hard earned, and it'll be no different this year, Donald. And we have to go back to the grindstone, work hard, assess the injuries now. With the help of God, we won't be adding to our list. Tomas came off there with an injury, Adam Manson came off an injury, and, you know, we're really down to a very fine number of players now. But we've 2 weeks now, Donald, to get it right. With the help of God, we will for the Crot again.
Well, congratulations. There's 2 points that's on the board. I suppose round 1 over the way. As you said, there's 1 more game to go, and the very best of luck to you.
Got to be in We're
better than that. Like, we didn't perform at all today. Yeah. We don't know the reasons. You go into a match and you're hoping that fellas will do it on the day. I don't know, was it the occasion maybe got us or something like that, because, you know, we're better than that, and we still took them to a point. So we were expecting to win today. Like, we, you know, if we performed, we said that we would do better than that, but it's hard to take it because we had so many fellas that just didn't perform. We kind of panicked on the ball, we gave away possession, but we still showed a bit of heart, and I think we showed that, you know, that we can compete up here, you know. And look, we'll try to take encouragement from that to say that we still brought them to a point, but there's more in us, and we'll just have to say we have to work harder and look at this game and see the mistakes and try to correct them. We don't have a big turnaround time Friday night, so we'll just have to get our thinking caps on and put this together and see can we come out a better team. Yeah.
Now, the Garvey's Super Value Senior Hurling Championship round 2 games commence on Friday evening, where Dr. Crokes will face off against Crotta O'Neill's at 7:30 on Friday evening in Austin Stack Park. Now, Dr. Crokes, of course, it's a 5-day turnaround for them, having heartbreakingly lost to Aberdeen 18-17, but they will need a win if they are to maintain any interest in the championship. Crotta O'Neill's, of course, entering their first game, many people's favourites actually, of coming out of that group and having a big say later on the championship. So that's the Group 3 game. The Group 2 game, of course, is on Saturday evening at 7 p.m. Ballyhaig, who lost last time out to Kilmiley, they face Lixnaw. Lixnaw, their first game of the championship. Kilmiley, of course, already with 2 points in that group. And the Group 1 game, it's the game of the heavyweights, bringing Ballyduff and Causeway together. Causeway have been in sparkling form in the last couple of weekends. Ballyduff is their first game. St. Brendan's in the group as well, of course, and they will play Ballyduff on the final day. So 3 very entertaining games on Friday, Saturday and Sunday afternoon. Joining us now once again is Dermot Carney, Kerry Sports Hub, and of course Dermot was in Lixnaw at the weekend looking at Kerry versus Derry in the Intermediate Championship. Dermot, I suppose safe to say after the high of last week, this week not as high.
Yeah, Donald, that's one way to put it. A 2-17 to 9-point loss is never a great result for a side in a championship setting when they're, I suppose, in a group environment as well, where you want to get the results as much as possible to try and push you forward when it's the top 2 that are going to advance. I mentioned it last week that Derry were, the team to beat in the group. They were the favourites going into the game. They looked the strongest. They've been an intermediate side for years. They did make the step up to senior a number of years ago, then dropped down because they found the going a little bit too tough. But it was, at the game, you could tell the difference in experience. This is Kerry's second year of being an intermediate side in this championship, and the way that Derry could put 3 or 4 players just to suffocate a player when they were in possession, to be 3 or 4 steps ahead of Kerry when Kerry were making the attack, that Derry knew where the ball was going to end up, and just keep Kerry isolated at all times. And the lack of service to the Kerry full forward line was prominent in the game. They kept having to drop into midfield, and Ian made a few changes positionally throughout the game to try and create a few different methods of scoring. But to be fair, the Derry side were just so much better than Kerry on the day. The fitness, the level of skill, it showed, their experience, and obviously, they're probably going to top the group now after picking up the win. They're obviously going to play Tipperary next in the group. They might end up coming home with a clean sweep, but it was a difficult loss to take for the girls.
Mm-hmm. And I suppose maybe talk through the game itself. I suppose the scoreline, I suppose it gives people kind of the margin was very wide. The game itself, if we kind of take it in stages, I presume Kerry were competitive for a good track of the early stages.
Yeah, they were competitive. Now in the first 20 seconds, we thought, this is going to be bad when the referee blew for a penalty, and it's like, okay, an early goal now isn't going to be great when you're trying to play the best team in the group. And Aoife Fitzgerald made a fantastic save, and after that you were thinking, okay, can Kerry get into it? And they went down early to a point, but then managed to go through with Patrice and Kate Lynch getting scores, and then it like, okay, we might have something here. Then Derry got their goal, and it was one of those where, it was a high ball in. Aoife came out to try and poke the ball clear. She missed it. The ball wasn't dealt with by one of the defenders, and Derry had a free shot at goal. No one inside the house, and Kerry are trailing. And from that, Derry took the advantage. And at half-time it was only 1-9 to 6 points, and Kerry had a good run of scoring form at the end of the half, and you thought, maybe toward the end of the half that if it was, 5 more minutes, Kerry might have gotten a few more scores. And when the second half kicked off, Kerry did get the first score through Jackie Horgan. Again, Jackie was fantastic from frees on the day. But then Derry just ran home from there. They were just, when they got the second goal again, it was another sloppy one. It was just the passing around, getting into space, managing to pass to a free player inside and getting it into the net. And the free taking ability by their captain, who's in midfield on that game, she was absolutely phenomenal from a dead ball. Just the way that Derry could take their scores, it was just fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. She finished up on 9 points in the day. I suppose disappointing was the word. I suppose afterwards you spoke to our Kerry manager Ian Brick.
Disappointing at the end of the day. Not so much the result. Derry were always going to pose a big threat, but the performance probably fell below what you'd have expected.
Yeah, disappointed with both, to be honest, yeah. And I suppose we had been aware of this, of let's say the Cork game earlier in the year, and we knew the scoring difference came into play, and we just weren't able to make any headway there with them in the end. We knew it was always going to be a tough game. They're a fine side. They gave Laois a good dusting last weekend only, and they just came off the bus and they played, and they were in top form. They came down and did the same, but at the same time, look, you can never question our girls' battling qualities, and they kept going right to the end again. But we didn't improve our performance from last week against Tipperary, really. We probably got a couple more scores because we had more room again, and there was a little bit more play. But Derry are a fine side, and you can only do as good, I suppose, to learn from playing against quality opposition like that. And yeah, it is really disappointing, but yeah, we're not out of it just yet, and we've another game to go against Laois next week.
Yeah, and they were on top from the very start, and again we started slowly, probably against Tipperary, if I can remember correctly, last week. That seems to be a little bit of a problem, and then I think was it a question of containment today, playing Rachel McCarthy back as an extra defender, which kind of left us a bit shy up front? Was that the kind of a tactic or a game plan?
Yeah, it was, yeah, because we knew they had plenty of pace up front and accuracy, like in their passing, and the offloading is much better than we would have come across all year. So we did try to contain it, but the only problem was that we found it very difficult then to walk it out from defence. And whenever we hit a long ball then, which is the only option we had at times, the girls found it very hard to work it then. In fairness, Jackie and Amy did well in the early stages, but Derry just got on top of that. So we changed it around then, maybe for the second quarter, we went back to man and man, as they say. Mm-hmm. We coped slightly better, but again, it was just down to our basics. We improved. Like the handling, the hand passing was better, the striking was better, and that had a big part to play in as well. But yeah, we take our hats off to that on the sideline, but we just know overall that the girls are disappointed with their own performance, regardless of set-up and things like that, yeah.
And of course was Ian Brick looking ahead, I suppose, to the next outing, and I suppose we look ahead to it as well. It's Laois again, familiar foes, I suppose, at this stage. A team Kerry shouldn't really fear, even on last year's performance. I know, I suppose, it ran away from them in the end in extra time, but certainly a team Kerry would feel they're capable of beating.
Yeah, they definitely have the skill and the experience to give Laois a run of it. Now results elsewhere on Saturday might have, shaken up the table a little bit when Tipperary failed to make use of a home advantage against Laois, and that's put us and Laois on level points in the group, looking at whoever wins this more than likely will take second place in the group. So it was always going to be a must-win game for Kerry, but now after that result, they won by, I think, a 5-point margin over Tipperary side that we only beat by a goal in Lake Snass. So results can mean different things, but Kerry do have the level of experience. Last year is always going to haunt them. They looked home and hosed by the end of the game, and then it just slipped away from them the last exchanges, and they were knocked out after that. And I suppose that's always going to play onto the mind. But Ian is Ian is capable of pulling the results out. He knows the girls inside and out. He's going to have it in the training. And speaking to him before the game, he was adamant that there was a chance that Kerry could have got a result against Derry on Saturday. But at the same time, if you were going to lose, to keep it to a lower margin. Obviously, we saw in the league when we were heavily beaten by Cork on the road that result was what cost Kerry the chance to advance further in the league. And if you look at the table at the moment, it's Laois ahead of us on scoring difference. And that's obviously something that could cost Kerry in the end, but hopefully, they can get the results. They do have the players to do it, but it all depends on the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I suppose in brass tacks, it has to be a win for Kerry, because if it's a draw, both sides land on 3 points, and Laois are 4 scoring points better. And I suppose if anything you haunted Kerry in the league, it was that. So it has to be a win. But I suppose it's championship. You head into the championship. I remember last year they lost to Meath. And then they had to travel up to Carlow. Very few people gave them a chance against Carlow, above in Carlow, and they actually won that game. So I think there's probably plenty of positives that they can take from it and regroup. And I suppose at the start of the year, Dermot, Ian said the one thing he wanted was to be competitive in every game. So I mean, it's knockout all the way from here. And that game, of course, is next week. Now there was another game, of course, at the weekend as well. The Kerry Minors were in action against Armagh. How did that game go, Dermot?
Yeah, Donal, a defeat, sadly enough, for the Kerry Minor girls on Sunday. They drew the week previous, and obviously, it's tough to take another heavy defeat not a heavy defeat, but another defeat on the road. They were up in Offaly and playing a tough enough Armagh side, and obviously Kerry have, I suppose, the pick of the players will come up to Ian, and he actually was speaking. After the game, they kind of had the huddle after, trying to do, I suppose, the debrief, if you want to call it. And, as he's saying, all the girls who are coming up from the under 16s to minor level, those girls are here because of ye. They are here because of your past performances. They want to be the next players to come through. And when you look at, I suppose, the program from the last day, the number of players that Kerry had available to them from the Derry side, Derry had only brought down 21 players, and of those 21, there was players that Ian hadn't even heard of, and he was preparing going into it. So you'll take your defeats at minor level. The girls that are there at the moment in the senior squad have been at minor level before. They've won and they've lost, and I'd say after that loss, I don't think that the minor girls are going to advance in the All Ireland after the draw the previous week. But, it was only, I think it was a 4 or 5 point defeat in the end to a tough Armagh team, which was a good result for Kerry. I think it was 3-15 to 2-11 was the final score. But, it's experience for them at the end of the day. If they don't manage to get to the All Ireland stage and come home the winners, it's all about getting experience. And if, some of those girls can take their performances to the next stage, it's going to be a fruitful production line for the Kerry Senior Camogie team going forward.
That's what it's about, really, is getting games. I mean, I suppose all the training and indoor matches they want, I suppose, but getting in a bus and travelling to Offaly to play Armagh, it's getting ready for the next level. And of course, the next level, of course, for the senior team, obviously, is next weekend. They're playing Laois. Darren will keep an eye on it, of course, and we hope all goes well for them. To be nice to get back into the knockout stages. As I said, just to look at the table, Tipperary currently on 4 points, Laois and Kerry on 2 points each. Sorry, it's actually Derry that are on 4 points. Laois and Kerry, of course, on the 2, and Tipperary bring up the rear on no win at all at the moment. And it has to be a win, of course, because both sides are level on points. But as you pointed out there, Laois with the better scoring difference at the moment. And of course, we don't want to revisit that nightmare. Which we saw from the league, despite their wonderful progress made. So Darren, we'll talk to you next week, and we can catch that game here again, of course, and we'll take a look at it. Thank you very much, Dermot.
Perfect, Donald. Thank you.
There was no joy for the Kerry Minor Footballers last Friday evening at Páirc Uí Chaoimh as they exited the Munster Championship by a point, losing to Cork 115 to 114 in the Electric Ireland Munster Minor semi-final. James Costello's men had trailed by 5 points heading into the final 9 minutes, but fought bravely to get within a kick of forcing the game into extra time, but in the end missed their chance, meaning that there will be new winners at this grade for the first time in 9 years, with Limerick and Cork marching on to the Munster final. Kerry opened brightly, reeling in an early Cork lead to surge 4 points to 2 in front by the 10th minute, with a brace of frees from Owen Hassett, along with points from Jack Clifford and Luke Crowley. However, it was Cork that regained control of the contest for the remainder of the half, leading Kerry at the Waterbreak 5 points to 4, before totally owning the second quarter, which produced a Michael McSweeney goal to give the Rebels a half-time lead of 1-9 to 6 points. Kerry needed to make a good start to the second half, and Owen Hassett goaled early, but Cork regrouped to extend their lead to 7 points by the second half Waterbreak. However, Kerry, with a 1-9 contribution by Owen Hassett, slowly began to reel in the winners, but unfortunately were unable to gain parity at the end of the contest. So that's all from a very, very busy show on the Waterbreak this evening. All the draws have been done, and we're looking ahead to a game on Sunday week, and a lot of people are looking ahead to it because 24,000 tickets are available for it. But it's Kerry and Tyrone, it's the All-Ireland semi-final. But before we get ahead to it, we're going to take a look at some of the rivalry in the past. Good evening, and we'll see you next week.
There's a goal here for Portsquin. 1-8 to 5 points to score. Kerry behind. Portsquin on. At least for a moment there, it seemed that Tyrone were once again ready to take the initiative, but it's come to Kerry's Mikey Spillane. Mike Sheehy gets a brilliant goal. And there it is. Kerry have won their 30th title. Owen Mulligan, ready to take on his man. Very confident player, he's had a very good season. Mulligan going all the way through, laying it off here, and McGill was coming in, and that has gone over the bar. Ahead by Conor Gormley. Into space, and it's Ryan McMenamin. A real terrier, Gooch is after him, he's his man. McMenamin coming up from cornerback to kick with accuracy, and put it over. It's only 7 points at the end. But there was one magnificent team out there. They had a game plan. Mickey Hart put them through their places, prepared them really, really well. Tyrone are in another All-Ireland football final.
Jordan, a shaft and throw. Owen Mulligan, Botseg, Owen Mulligan, Canavan, August Cooley, the Hampshire, Peter the Great, Gohir Owen. Here up the good block on to Shisa Brosnan, block on to Lemon Cusson Shin, August Cooley, the Hampshire, and Kerry. Botseg Jordan, August Shin, Bader and score, over Scream the Hayden, Gohir Owen, Paul Clifford, and then Doug Shenty, Egan Raitor, Loy, and the money sure Mickey Hart, Don Gashkiach, Peter Canavan, August Doug Captain, Brian Dooher.
Inside towards Stephen O'Neill, who played in the 2005. That's beautifully in. What a combination! Hughes foiled. It's in the back of the net. Tommy McGuigan finishes it. That's a lovely outlet pass there as far as Darren O'Shea. Will this be a score by O'Shea? It's on the way and it's over the bar. Kerry try to close it, try to get men into key areas. Kavanagh kicking, having a go. It's over the bar. Galvin has a go. The whistle goes, and Tyrone are the All-Ireland football champions for 2008.